Hello, everybody.
Welcome back to another episode of Team Sessa Talks. Today we have an exciting episode for you guys because we are going to be talking about productivity.
Being productive.
And my dad knows all about that, right?
I think I know a lot. I know that with some of the things that I do, I'm more productive than if I wouldn't be doing some of these things.
Mm-hmm. So there's a few things you've learned along the way throughout your, how many years have you been on this planet?
I've been on I've been on this planet a few years now.
Not enough to learn how to speak?
I've been self-employed and running businesses and managing other people since I was 21 years old.
So you picked up a couple tricks along the way.
I've picked up a couple tricks. I know what works for me. I know what doesn't work for me. I know tools that can make me more productive and others that don't. And I know when I'm fooling myself.
And those are tools that you've passed down to me too, because a lot of the stuff that you have taught me has helped me in my life to be productive.
I'm trying, my young grasshopper. I'm trying.
And this is not...
I want you to learn from my mistakes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's every parent's goal.
Of course,
that the
right?
kids learn from the mistakes they made. And but in life in general, there's whatever it is you want to accomplish. There's someone that chances are has probably already done it.
Yeah.
And learn from them.
Yeah. And this is by no way... you're not an expert in productivity. This is not something you've done like research on or anything like that. This is just tips and things that have helped you.
These are things that I've incorporated into my everyday life, and they make me more productive. Yes.
And this is stuff. It's from students all the way to people that are self-employed to people that even are employed by other people. Right. These are productivity tips that'll help everyone.
They can help anybody, whether you're working or not, whether you're a student, whether you're an adult. You decide if any of this helps you in any way, fantastic. I mean, everybody's their own person. We are all a product of whatever it is we do.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get into it, Pa.
Okay. Well, first of all, there's a big difference between being productive and being busy.
Yes. That's something I think we see that often.
Being busy takes zero skill or talent.
Yeah.
Anybody could be busy. Look at the hamster in the hamster wheel. Mm-hmm. Looks pretty busy.
Yeah.
Getting nowhere looks pretty busy.
Yeah.
Anybody could be busy. You could show up at work, sit at your desk. Lots of people will give you things to do. You're going to be busy all day. Mm-hmm. You can be the telephone operator. You're going to be busy answering calls. You're busy all day. Doesn't take any planning. But if you're looking to be productive, you need to actually plan for it. Mm-hmm.
And these are being busy and being productive. Let's give another example of that. So let's say someone that wants to get fit, someone that wants to exercise and get healthier. You can be busy and go to the gym 7 times a week, right? But being productive would be going to the gym and changing your diet, because the diet's going to be the one that actually really helps you more than the gym.
Well, I wouldn't say more, and I'm not a medical expert, but
I think it's
even within that example, even being at the gym, you can be busy at the gym doing all sorts of exercises. But to be productive, you really got to learn the technique of each
form and stuff.
The form and the reps and how much you rest in between. And do you what do you eat after you're at the gym that's going to supplement your muscles and what you're doing?
Yeah.
You need to plan for that.
Yeah.
You can't just go to today I'm going to, just lift weights.
Yeah.
What's the reps? How many? How often? That's going to lead to productivity. That's going to lead to you actually moving towards your goal of whatever your goal happens to be. You need a target, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So let's get into things. Checklists.
Oh, God.
Okay. Well, even before I say checklists, you notice I have this iPad here.
Yeah.
I write everything down.
He would run out of paper. There would be no more paper to supply him if he had to write all his checklists down on paper.
Well, before I was doing it on an iPad, I always had a notepad.
Yeah.
And I would physically write on paper. And in my list of things I do to be more productive, I actually explain why I'm like 90% paperless now.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for it, and I'll explain that a little bit later. But I write everything down before I go into anything, whether I'm going to a listing presentation, a buyer presentation, before I go into any kind of a meeting. When my broker at the office, the broker of record, Gabriel, when he calls me and says, Santo, I want to talk to you about something, I want to know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And I usually have a few notes written down. I'm prepared. I'll show up with something in my hand, knowing that this is probably going to come up in conversation.
Yeah.
And I'm going to talk about it. So I write everything down. It takes me a few minutes before the meeting, but I'm prepared. I hate the feeling of leaving the meeting on thinking, I wish I would have spoken about that.
Yeah.
So I jot down a few notes. Now, we're speaking freely here right now. It's not like there's a teleprompter and I'm reading word for word what's written on there. But I do have some points I'm going to cover.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure I don't forget something. So one of the things that I do is checklists. I have checklists for everything. This is different than a to-do list or it's a checklist.
I was going to say,
yeah, it's a checklist for the task. Okay? So I put everything goes on. Well, every task usually I can have a checklist for. And I love checklists. I love crossing things off, done. But
it's motivating to do that stuff.
It's motivating, but it also gives me confidence.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a couple of real-life examples. We go on vacation. We're driving away, and we're all there, the whole family. There's two predominant emotions when we're driving away. One is excitement. We're enthusiastic. Yeah. We're excited. Can't wait to get to the airport. Then we start talking about, the beach. Oh, I can't wait till arrive and this and that. What's the other emotion?
Worried.
We're worried a little bit. And it comes out, oh, did I bring this? Did I bring that?
Yeah.
And you might not even be vocalizing it out loud. You on your own might be thinking, well, I know I'm always thinking for you, did Danny bring enough clothes?
Yeah.
Did he bring this? Did he bring that? It always comes up, sweetheart, you got the passports? Yeah. You got the tickets? Yeah. And okay, did I bring enough bathing? Did I bring those sandals?
Yeah.
Because of all the hair I have, did I bring the right hat so I don't get my head sunburnt?
Yeah.
And these are things. Well, if I had a checklist of absolutely everything I had to put in my luggage, and I crossed it off. Now, this seems a little bit overkill, I know, and I don't actually prepare a full checklist, but you don't know it, but I actually do prepare a checklist because I want to bring my cigar stuff. I want to make sure my lighters are full of fluid. I want to make sure that I'm bringing certain things that I know I'm going to enjoy there. On the airplane, I want to watch some movies on my iPad. I want to make sure I've downloaded those movies. I want to read certain books when I'm away that I normally don't do when I'm got stuff going on here. I want to make sure I've packed those.
Yeah.
I don't have a checklist. 7 pairs of underwears, 3. That's just something that you do. But those other things I don't want to forget. I actually make a note that I got to have these, and I'm more confident when we're going away. I'm not worried that I forget this, that I forget that.
And just to reiterate it again, it's a checklist is different than a to-do list.
Correct.
Right? So this checklist makes sure that the specific task that you're doing, you are doing it correctly, you're doing it, and you're not missing any steps.
Well, the to-do would be, I have to pack.
The to-do would be the task itself.
Yeah, I have to pack.
Okay.
That goes on the to-do list.
Yeah.
I have to pack. The checklist is, what am I packing?
Okay. So I just wanted to make that difference,
There is a difference. So I have a checklist for everything.
Yeah, it's scary. It's actually scary. He's putting up Christmas lights this week, or the past weekend, and he had a checklist for which lights go where, and where the clips go. It's scary. It's scary.
But I don't have to think then.
Yeah, I guess.
You see, it's not like I'm stupid, but I don't.
Debatable.
I want to do as less thinking as possible. By that, there's less left to chance. And we're humans. We make mistakes. We can forget.
Yeah.
It's harder for me to forget something if I'm just following a list of things that I'm supposed to have done for that.
Sure. For sure.
I don't want to forget.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Remember when we first started doing these podcasts?
Oh yeah. If you can see the difference. It's been I don't know, over 10 episodes now, just over 10 episodes. But you see the difference. At the beginning, we were some of them weren't in focus. Some of them the sound was off.
Well, there's a lot of things that the public doesn't even know. How many times we've restarted these or gone halfway through, the batteries ran out.
Memory card
and
full.
I'm like, didn't you check the battery before we started? and now we've created a checklist of just like a pilot gets into a plane and has to check everything for safety. We need to check everything.
And there's a lot of things that go into this. I didn't realize once we started creating the checklist for this, there's so much that we needed to remember that we would have normally forgot. So like even something like the light placement, stuff like that, just everything. There's so many things that you could add to this checklist to make sure that it comes out consistent every single time. And I think we're starting to do that now.
Yeah, but then there's less to think about.
Yeah.
And when we sit down, like at first we'd sit down, did we do that?
Yeah.
Now we sit down and we could just start and it's quicker, faster. Our setup time is now 10 minutes as opposed to 45 before. You'd sit down, we'd say a couple words, I got to do something, and then you get up and you have to adjust something. Now with the checklist, it's just, you check this, check the lights, check the shadows, check what you're wearing, check the battery life, everything on there.
No, it's definitely made a big difference in terms of just the production of the show, but I can see how it makes a difference in just about anything you do, really.
Going shopping.
Yeah.
Do you have a checklist of what you gotta buy, or are you going by memory? How many times? And I don't want to say something against your mother because she hates checklists. She loathes them. The checklist is like the enemy to her, and she hates. So sometimes I gotta do secret checklists, right? But she'll be away, and we'll be shopping, and do we need to buy this?
But I will say she has the best memory out of all of us.
She does.
So
She does.
Gotta throw that in there so you don't get killed.
Does. Appreciate it, son. Appreciate it. My wife can remember everything. Anyways, so I have a checklist for everything.
Yeah.
The next thing I do is a calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's on my calendar.
So do you separate your calendar? Because I know we have our family calendar,
yes,
where we put the events for the family stuff, and then do you have? Because I have like a separate work calendar, so for stuff that's going on with work and stuff. How do you manage that?
I have one calendar. Yes, we have a family calendar that your mother updates, and I take information from there and I put it onto my calendar. I have one calendar. Everything is on it. I don't have a separate life. Mm-hmm. Everything is all together.
Yeah.
So if we are going to a family birthday party at cousin's house, I need to schedule for that.
Yeah.
I cannot have that separate from my work calendar.
I guess that makes sense.
I look at one calendar, everything is there. So you mentioned earlier about Christmas lights. Mm-hmm. I scheduled in my calendar this time and this time I'm putting up the Christmas decoration.
Yeah.
I had to schedule it. Otherwise, I'd be maybe making another appointment there. Mm-hmm. I know it sounds a little bit crazy. I schedule everything, and it gives me confidence that I'm not forgetting to do something. I have time to do it. Your mom might ask, when are you putting up the Christmas lights? When I have time.
Yeah.
Well, when is that?
Especially with the way you work, it's like you barely ever have time.
Well, when do I have time? Well, I know if I put it in my calendar and I say Sunday between 9 a.m. and noon, that's my Christmas lights time.
Yeah.
Well, that's when I'm doing it. And I could say it with confidence. Yeah. That's when I'm doing it. And I know if I get a phone call or something's really important, say with a client that I have to deal with at that time, and your mother, being a realtor, also understands that sometimes plans change. Well, I know I can put another appointment there, but I need to move that one then to the afternoon.
Yeah.
But it's scheduled. If I know it sounds crazy, but when I go to dinner with your mother and we're relaxing, time off, I'm scheduling that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I have the attitude, if it's not in my calendar, it doesn't exist. If it's not in my calendar, it doesn't exist. So I schedule everything.
Yeah.
Time off, business meetings, phone calls, webinars, training sessions. When I'm researching for properties, I schedule all that.
So now, do you think that scheduling is the same as a to-do list?
It can be. But the to-do list is, these are the things I got to get done today.
Mm-hmm. The scheduling.
What time am I getting that done?
So the scheduling.
That's the schedule.
Just takes it like one step further, I guess.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Today I got to do these 5 things.
Mm-hmm.
When? The minute I put a time to it, it's scheduled. Mm-hmm. That's what's going to happen. It's an appointment.
Yeah.
I make an appointment for everything. Now, I can have an appointment with a physical client.
Yeah.
I can have an appointment to be at my desk and do research.
Imagine how awkward it is for our family having to make an appointment to have dinner with our dad.
But you don't know. You see, that's the beauty. They don't know.
Hey, Dad, can we make an appointment tonight for 6 to 7, please, so we can have dinner?
They don't know. Like I know we're having dinner at 6.
Yeah.
I have it scheduled in my calendar.
Yeah, I know.
I don't say to my kids, well, let me schedule it in. But I know if I don't schedule it in, there's a chance I'm probably not going to be there at that time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's just because of my schedule. Now, if you have a 9 to 5 type of job and every day you're home at 5:30, dinner at 6, I mean, everybody kind of knows that's your schedule. You don't necessarily have that on a calendar, but my day changes often and quickly. So I need to plan for these things.
Yeah.
So we're going to a family event. I got to plan for it. I already know this weekend I've got 4 appointments set up with clients showing houses. Another one's a listing presentation and so forth. I got those planned. So if you said to me, hey, Dad, let's do this on the weekend, I've got to decide either who I'm going to disappoint and not be able to, or reschedule it for another time so everybody's happy. And, you know, you plan it. Yeah. There's only so many hours in a day, and I got to account for it in my calendar.
Yeah. So
the moral of that story is, if it's not in my calendar, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
There's a chance I'm not going to be doing it. Mm-hmm. And then I don't have to think about it. So, if it's there, I don't have to think about it.
So do you, I guess you don't use to-do lists?
I do.
But it's just your calendar, where you just put everything
It's in my calendar, and it's a task at the top of each day. Oh. There's things that I need to get done through the course of this week. Like it could be a project. I could be listening to a training session, a training webinar, and I think, you know what, that's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
It's something I'd like to do. I'd like to implement. If there's no sense of urgency, I don't need to schedule now, but I'm going to get to this next week. So in my tasks, I will put, because I don't want to go by memory. Yeah, if I go by memory, I'm always wondering, did I forget? And so many times I've thought I'd go by memory, completely forgot about it, and then I come across this thing a few months later, and I go, oh, wait a minute. I wanted to do this, or I wanted to implement this, or I wanted to call this person, and then it just slips your mind, and there's too many other things going on in this world, too many distractions. I don't want to think about it.
Yeah.
So if I put it on my next week, I need to deal with this. And then today, I have a set of tasks that I need to get done today.
That's smart. So you have your calendar, which shows exactly what you're doing, and then you have your tasks, which are in the same window, right? And it tells you exactly what you need to do or what you want to get done.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. And sometimes I look at that and I'll see the way my day is planned, and I might move a task to tomorrow. And I might, so these are the things I got to get done today, and I'll put the amount of time each one should take.
Oh, You put that too?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I know that this task is going to take me an hour. This task is going to take me 10 minutes. It's just a quick phone call.
Yeah.
But it's important, and I need to get it done.
That's true. That makes sense.
And so I move it, and I know I need to speak with this person, but this person I can only talk to after they're done work. So I will put a time, and this will take me 10 minutes, but that's got to be after 6 o'clock. So I'll move that to, these are the things I got to do at the end of the day. These are the things I got to do in the morning.
Now, is this something that takes I know it's obviously something that's ongoing throughout the day, but do you take some time in the morning or the night before to kind of organize the next day, or how does it work for you? Like, what's
Great
the best?
question.
Yeah.
Have you ever, when you're driving to school, you're driving to your university,
Yeah.
and you're wondering, what's the plan? What's going on? Did I get this done? Or you got a project that's due? Well, I hate that feeling. So before when I'm shutting my evening down, whether it's 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, I review the plan for the next day.
Oh, okay.
And then when I go to bed, I already know when I wake up, this is what I'm doing. It's rare that I don't have a plan. The only time is when we're away on vacation, or soon with Christmas holidays coming up, I'll have a few days where there's really nothing planned. But I've planned to have nothing planned.
Yeah.
Like I plan to get up and not think about something.
Yeah.
I've planned for that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm not comfortable in my own skin.
Yeah.
If I think there's something I should be doing, drives me mental.
Yeah.
So the night before, I look at my tasks for the next day. I've got my plan. I can go to sleep with confidence.
You set everything up the night before.
I set everything up the night before. I have a look at it. Well, that could have been in there for a few days already. It's just the night before, I look at what the plan is for the next day. Then when I get up in the morning, I review it again. It's just a quick scan. Once you have a habit of looking at it, you're not studying it. You're not, and you can make changes on the fly and move things over. The important thing is to have everything listed so you know what you need to do and not do.
And now another question I just thought of here is when you're creating these tasks, like I know you have a million things to do in a day, and but obviously you can't get everything done. Do you kind of space things out and say, okay, you know what, this task I'm going to do for Friday instead of Thursday because I know I'm just not going to have enough time on Thursday? Or are you just constantly like putting stuff, okay, I didn't do that today, let me just move it to the next day, I didn't do that today? Like, is it better to be more kind of realistic in the approach of okay, I'm going to try and get all this done today? Or is it better to just put everything in and say, okay, I'm going to do all this today, and then whatever I don't get done, I'm just going to do tomorrow?
That kind of covers the area of being busy and being productive. And there's a certain, it's really easy just to keep putting things off for tomorrow.
Yeah.
And if you feel you can do that, just put it off. Just put it off. After a while, it starts to become a habit.
Yeah.
And you'll tend not to get much done because you just feel you can put it off. One of the mistakes I make is I feel there's, I could work till midnight and then wake up at 1 a.m. and then work till midnight the next day. And I just feel if I don't do it now, I'll do it tonight. If I don't do it now, I'll do it tonight. And after a while, you start burning yourself out.
Yeah.
And you need to kind of put a time limit and not lie to yourself what you can get done and decide where your focus is going to be. With you getting involved and helping in our business, you've taken away a lot of the administration stuff away from me. So I can focus on the tasks that are really far more productive than, say, doing paperwork, for example. Your mother helps out in a huge way of taking things away from me so I could focus on those things that make our business more productive. So I don't get bogged down in the little things. Things that happen at home, I don't even think about.
Yeah.
That's all your mom. She organizes that part of our life. I focus more on the business side, and I'll give her things to do that allow me to focus on work.
So you're saying it's better to be more realistic in your planning in terms of not trying to pile all tasks on one day. It's better to space them out into reasonable, if I can only accomplish 3 tasks today, then I'm
Which
going to make
3?
sure it's these ones.
Yes.
And then I'll put these ones to tomorrow. Because I think that's the thing. And especially once I started getting involved with kind of with the business here and in creating my to-do lists, I'd pack everything onto the to-do list for the day. And I would do that the night before, but then I'd pack everything onto the next day, and then, I just couldn't get through everything. And I just found myself constantly adding certain things to the following day, until I realized it makes more sense to, okay, this is the amount of time I'm going to be working in a day. So whether it's 9 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours, whatever it is, this is the amount of time I'm going to be working. How many tasks can I realistically get done in that time?
And which ones need to get done?
Yeah.
Which ones are going to help you to get towards your goal?
Mm-hmm.
Which ones matter? Which ones don't?
And that's the thing, because I feel like people exert, well, everyone, including us, we exert so much brain power just worrying about the tasks that we're not doing too.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas if you know that you're not going to deal with this task until tomorrow, until Friday, until next week, whenever the case is, then you don't have to worry about it.
Right.
Right?
And get it out of your brain.
Yeah, and stop thinking about it. Just, you're not going to worry about it today, so don't worry about it today. Right?
The brain could really tire you out.
Yeah.
More so than physical.
Yeah.
You've got the person that's doing a labor type of job, but has no worry in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the person that is at a desk doing nothing labor. The most heavy thing he or she will pick up is a pen or a piece of paper.
Yeah.
But they got so many thoughts in their head.
Yeah.
And it could be worried. Am I doing this right? Am I doing that right? And that person with the mental, pressure will be more tired at the end of the day than that doing physical. I try to have as less in my brain as possible and go with checklists, work at calendar. What am I going to realistically do? And when I put the tasks in there, there's just a few choices.
Yeah.
Am I going to get this done today? Do I need to move it to another day? Should I delete this task altogether? Stop fooling myself. I'm never going to do this.
Yeah.
But, and my inbox is always full.
Yeah.
There's always going to be something to do. So where do I put my time?
Yeah.
And if you picture the day in as far as like time slots or pigeonholes, there's in each box say is an hour. Well, there's 24 pigeonholes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be sleeping for so many hours. Remove that. There's only so much time in a day.
Yeah.
Why put that pressure that there's just certain things you're not going to do. Decide what those are and then do those ones that you are going to do.
Yeah. Okay. And obviously make those the most important ones. Right.
The time I wake up is a big factor in getting things done.
Yeah, you wake up way too early, I think.
You say too early, but what does too early mean?
I don't know. Anything before the sun comes up.
It's not about the time. It's about this podcast is about being productive.
Yeah.
I couldn't wake up at 10 or 11 and get done what I get done.
Yeah.
I just couldn't do it.
No, of course.
I love sleeping in. Can't remember the last time I did it.
Yeah.
But I know when I did, I scheduled for it. Today I'm sleeping in. I planned it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I wake up every day, 5:30. That's the plan. That's the goal. Whether I'm going to the gym right after that or I'm going to the office, I get so much done in that morning time than most people do all day. I just had a conversation just yesterday, actually, with a friend of mine. He's a builder. He has a fairly large home building company. He's a builder. And we were talking during the day, and he was a little bit frustrated. He goes, Santo, my favorite time of the day is after 5 o'clock when everybody's left the office. I walk to the front. I lock the door. The phones get put on, automatically get transferred to our answering service.
Yeah.
So no one's calling the office. There's no staff in the building. I get so much done between 5 and the time I go home just a couple hours later than I do all day being there for 8 hours.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Distractions, I think.
Level of focus.
Yeah.
He can focus on what he's doing. There's no distractions.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of why I get up early, because that early part and the end part of the day is when I get most work done.
Yeah.
And I get better quality of work done. So that time I get to the office, if I'm there at the office, say at 7 a.m., by the time everybody starts showing up, also by the time my clients are kind of getting into their day and sending me emails. Now, I do have clients that think the same way. They're messaging me at 5, 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
But what a pleasure to be able to deal with this without other distractions.
Yeah.
Right? So I wake up early to be more productive. Not because I enjoy. I'd love to sleep in. When I leave the house and it's dark and everybody's still sleeping, I wish I could be there too. But it's just far more productive for me to get up early. I get more done. And when I have breakfast with somebody as a breakfast meeting, it's my second breakfast.
And now, so one thing about that, because I feel the same way where I'm definitely productive in the morning. If I wake up early and I have just I don't know why, for some reason, once 9, 10 o'clock rolls around, it just feels like there's so many other things and things start getting piled on. So it's not as productive. But if I wake up at like 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning and I have the few hours before then, I definitely feel more productive. But I also feel that late at night. Yeah. So for me, it's like even if we're putting together this podcast, market reports, whatever the case is, for me, between like, let's say 8 o'clock at night to 12, sometimes 1 a.m., I feel like then it's just silence and I could just work. And I'm okay with that. And it's, I don't know, for me, I prefer, I'm not a morning person. I'm definitely not a morning person, but.
All in favor? Aye. He is not a morning person.
I'm not a morning person, but I feel like I'm able to make up that same time in the evening, right? Because whereas you'd like to go to, I mean, you don't.
I do both.
You don't often get the chance to go to sleep early, but if you could, you would. For me, I feel like that's kind of like my prime time, right? Where I can get a lot of stuff done is more in the evening than in the morning. So I mean, it's just a matter of what you.
And it's because less distraction.
Yeah,
and you're more focused.
And that's the thing. That just to put it out there, it's just a matter of like what because I'm sure there's a lot of people that listen to this that are morning people.
Yeah,
right. Not everyone can get up at 5:30 in the morning.
But you at your age, your situation, your particular place in life, you have that luxury of saying, I'm not going to be a morning person and I'm going to, well, what if you had a mortgage to pay? What if you had kids? What if the job you applied for has, for you to make the money you needed to make, that job or that client or whatever, you needed to be up at 5 o'clock in the morning?
Well, that's a different story. Then I'd probably.
Yeah. So it has nothing to do with
a morning person.
It has nothing to do with being a morning person or not. It has to do with productivity, and it has to do with necessity.
Well, I guess it's just about finding the time to be productive, right?
Correct.
Did you say that?
Yeah, and planning to be productive.
I know. I'm just saying because like I said, I know there's a lot of people out there that want to sleep in. And it's okay to want to sleep in, and you can do that, but as long as you find some other time to be productive in whatever it is that you're doing, right?
I don't see that I have a choice. I'd love to sleep in. I don't have a choice.
I think you, along with a lot of other people that are probably self-employed and like business owners and stuff like that, I think that's
we don't have that luxury.
Story. Yeah,
we don't have that luxury.
Yeah.
I have colleagues, and this is not a knock on anyone else, that do roll in at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Most of them, almost all of them, are just not as productive.
Yeah.
And they'll keep rolling in at 10 o'clock. And I'm sure in any industry you're in, you see that. They're just not as productive. Mm-hmm. There's lawyers that'll be at the office early, and there's lawyers that, because they're self-employed, they'll do whatever they want.
Yeah.
The one that does whatever they want, at whatever time they want, are just not as productive.
Yeah.
They're not as successful as the other ones. Every industry has it. There's sports players that will show up to practice before, that won't sleep in. They're there early. Mm-hmm. And then there's the other ones, show up late. As soon as practice is over, they leave. They're not as productive.
Yeah.
There's a cost to being productive.
And it's just about the amount of time that you put into whatever it is that you're doing.
100%. 100%. Okay, so what plays a big part in me being productive is technology. Mm. I've embraced long time ago. I've embraced technology.
Embrace technology, but still don't really know how to use it.
I know how to use it.
Danny, how come the Wi-Fi isn't working?
Well, yeah, because that's your job. Make sure the Wi-Fi. But I know that it's not working. You see. Oh no, you have certain jobs in this house, and one of them is to make sure our Wi-Fi is running the way it should.
That should be a paid job, considering how often I have to do it.
Technology plays a big part. Everything is synced.
Mm-hmm.
My iPad to my laptop to my iPhone. My calendar is synced.
Yeah.
All my files are synced. If a client, I could be sitting with him having a coffee at Tim Hortons, and he wants to discuss his or her agreement of purchase and sale that we signed 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I could pull it up on my iPhone.
Yeah.
It saves me time. I don't have to say, no problem. When I get to the office, I'll print it out. I will meet up again. I'll bring it right there on the spot. I could pull it up.
Yeah.
So everything is synced. And if somebody was to steal my iPhone, my iPad, and my laptop at the same time, from any laptop in the world or as long as I have internet access, I can access all my files.
Yeah. That helps.
It helps in a big way. So you should embrace technology. It helps you to be more productive. Templates. There's certain emails that I write. And it's the same email. I changed a few things, but it's the same email over.
Don't give away all the secrets.
It's the same email over and over and over again.
Yeah.
For example, when we go live with a new listing, for example, I send the email to the seller saying we are live.
Yeah.
Here's the MLS link. Here's the Facebook link to see your Facebook ad. Here's the Realtor.ca link. It's the same email. A few things change, but 90% of the email is the same.
And that in itself is a checklist for what you need to provide to them, right?
For sure it is. For sure it is. Well, why am I going to reinvent the wheel every time? It saves me so much time to save that template and then just change the name and the address and just a few.
That makes sense.
So I have templates. I have a lot of different templates for similar emails.
Yeah.
When I give an offer to another agent, I have a template because I say, please find attached my client's offer. It's the same email. Why am I going to have to go by memory every time when I could just copy and paste that?
Yeah.
So that's, I create templates for everything. In a way, it's just like a checklist. You're 100% right. Okay. Paperless. I'm not entirely paperless, but I'm trying to be.
Yeah.
I think I'm about 90% paperless.
And that's a big that was a big change I saw when you like in your business when you switched everything to your iPad, your computer, and like cloud based.
Yeah.
Completely changed everything.
So I use a software here. I've got all notes. Let me show you, folks. If you're watching this on, I yelled there. If you're watching this on YouTube, you could see handwritten notes here. Now, I have thousands and thousands of pages, and each page is in its own file. Depending if this is a podcast, there's a podcast file and dates. I could search these pages in a millisecond. I've got a search function here. Even my handwritten notes. If I'm talking to a client 3 years ago about a bungalow with a walkout basement in Woodbridge, and I've got my notes, and I meet this client, he says, whatever happened to that bungalow we talked about 3 years ago? I could actually search for either that client's name, his page will come up, or the bungalow with walkout basement. All the pages I have with those words will pop up. Now, if this was paper, I'd have to write it on a piece of paper. It would have to be filed in a physical file somewhere. I'd have to be keeping that for 3 years, at least. And then,
you'd have to keep that entire file with you.
You have to keep it with me, or I'll go back to the office and have to find it. Now, what if along the way, you, your mom, me, somebody made a mistake and put that paper in the wrong file? It would never come up. And if I'm convinced, I've got that paper somewhere, it would take hours. There is a stat that was done. I don't have it handy, but the amount of time in a year that people spend looking for paper is phenomenal. The amount of hours in a year people spend. Look, where did I put that receipt? Where did I put that note? Oh, where did this go? Where did that go? And so I do everything on this iPad, all my notes for when we saw a house, what the client liked, what they didn't like, and it comes up. Or research I've done on a property, and to try to figure out, okay, what should this sell for? Or a client calls me for a listing presentation today. They're not really ready to sell for another few months.
Which is the case most times, right?
Which is often the case. They'll call and, we're trying to get an idea. They call me ahead of time, but down the road, I've got those notes, and I could pull them up in a millisecond.
Yeah.
Way, way more productive than carrying paper, having effects. And then, what the cool part is? I write my notes here. I'm with the client or whoever I'm talking to. I'm writing my notes. While I'm with them, when we're done, I could email them that note.
Yeah.
That same handwritten note, and we're all on the same page, so to speak. Actually, there's a play on words there. We're on the same page. I could email them that page of notes, and there's no misunderstanding.
Yeah.
So I do that. Technology, going paperless, simple things to be productive. When I create my schedule, I do not plan, or I plan against driving during rush hours.
Oh, that's right.
Why would I want to drive when I know this will take me 15 minutes, but if it's rush hour, it'll take me 45 minutes?
Yeah.
Why would I do that? Now, sometimes it's unavoidable. I'm meeting the client at 5, so I know I got to drive at 4.
Yeah.
Well, I'd rather leave at 2:30. Get there an hour early, work in a coffee shop, or work in my car, because I could work now anywhere.
Yeah.
I would rather spend 50 minutes driving any day of the week than spend 45 minutes to get to the same destination.
No, that's fair.
But I plan for that.
Yeah.
I do not plan to sit in my car driving through rush hour.
Yeah.
So that's very important. Electronic signatures.
Oh. Yeah.
Not too long ago, we sold a house. There's 2 sellers, brother and sister. One of them happened to be in Italy at the time. With electronic signatures, you talk about being productive. With electronic signatures, we're able to get everything signed off at any moment, at any time, because we don't have to physically be together. There's time and a place to physically be together, and there's certain situations where that's very important. But let's not be naive. Like, the client doesn't need me to be at their house at 12:30 at night.
Yeah.
Waiting for them to sign something.
No, for
right?
sure.
So we did another deal. One of my clients was in Florida, and she was on the beach, and she's able to sign documents instead of saying, okay, well, when you come back, we got to do this. I tried to convince your mother, actually, I had to drive to Florida, and she wouldn't go for it. She wouldn't go for it.
Yeah, no, I can see how that helps.
And one of the biggest things, I'm going to summarize this, one of the biggest things in being productive for me is focus.
Yeah.
Focus on which tasks I'm actually going to do today, and stop with the distractions. And that's why I need to put a time limit to it, actually. So all these things are intertwined. Like, I know this task is going to take me 45 minutes to do. I know if I'm answering phone calls during that task. I know if people are walking into my office. You see at the office, when my door is always closed.
Yeah.
I know that if I'm returning text messages, it won't take me 45 minutes. It'll take me an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
If I even get it done. Because we tend to be reacting to situations that happen through the course of the day. So I know if that's going to take me 45 minutes, I'm comfortable with not answering my email. Look, if the country's getting attacked, the prime minister needs to be notified immediately at any moment. I'm not worried about me reacting to the country being attacked.
Yeah.
I can deal with whatever situation that somebody lets me know a few minutes later.
Yeah.
So if I'm not answering my phone for 45 minutes or not answering a text for 45 minutes,
Not the end of the world.
it's not the end of the world. So mentally, I'm comfortable with that. And it gives me a sense of confidence to focus on this task, because I know in 45 minutes I'll get it done, and I'll get it done well without any distractions. So focusing is so important without the distraction.
Now, one thing I want to ask to that, do you set, like, in terms of setting times for it? So let's say you have a task to do that's going to take you 4 hours, right? It's difficult to just schedule off 4 hours in your day. I know that for sure.
Impossible.
So do you break it down? It's like, okay, I'm going to do an hour today, an hour tomorrow, an hour the next day, an hour the next day?
I could. It depends on what it is. I could be doing it in the evening. It all depends on what the task is. I mean, is it so important it gets done today?
So again,
there's not too many things, though, that I'll be sitting at for 4 hours straight doing.
So again, I just wanted to go back to this idea of setting realistic goals and realistic time frames for these types of things, right? Because that makes a big difference too.
Correct.
Right? Because if you say you're going to sit down for, and I mean, I know when it comes to like writing an essay, right? I say, you know what, I'm going to sit down 5 hours. I'll get this entire thing done, right? But that 5 hours, you don't get much done, because then it's just like, oh, I got to spend 5 hours doing this, right? And it just becomes daunting.
Yeah, but okay, so buddy.
Okay, maybe
I love you. My goal is not to put you on the spot, okay? But those 5 hours.
Yeah.
How many text messages are you
Well, that's the thing. And
how many, like, while we're doing this, my phone is beeping over here, but I refuse to look at it because I know if I see it, I shouldn't have even had this
going
in the
back
room.
to checklist. The checklist was to turn on phones. It's
beeping over here, and if I'm looking at this, it quickly takes my mind away. So
I understand what you're going to say. And now going back to what I was saying, it would be more realistic for me to say, you know what, I'm going to spend 2 hours on this today.
And no distractions.
No distractions, as opposed to saying, I'm going to spend 5 hours on this today and just see this as, oh my God, this is such a daunting task. And then you never actually get started, as opposed to saying, okay, you know what, I'm going to break it down to smaller parts. So sometimes it makes more sense to break things down into smaller parts and break it down into manageable pieces, as opposed to trying to get it all done in one sitting.
Right.
Let's say.
For sure. You know why it's the same example. You know why it's so easy for me to ignore the phone right now?
Because know that soon you're going to be able to answer it.
I know in a few minutes we're going to be done here.
Yeah.
But if I thought we're going to be in here for the next 3 hours,
yeah,
I'd be thinking, wait a minute, this could be a client, this could be an offer coming in, this could be, an emergency, a family emergency. I'm not comfortable for all that time being off the grid, so to speak. But for the next few minutes, no problem. So if you got to put 2 hours aside to do your essay or whatever it is that you got to do, and nobody's calling you, or you're just ignoring it, putting aside, they're not popping up on your screen, you can live with that.
And it's about setting the realistic expectation that, hey, you know what? Okay, I can be away from my phone for 2 hours, right? That's not gonna bother me. But 5 hours is a different story.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, you said it earlier, being realistic.
Yeah.
And not lying to yourself.
Yeah.
Let me tell you where a lot of people lie to themselves about, and they actually brag about it.
Yeah.
Multitasking.
Oh, yeah.
Multitasking is a myth.
Doesn't exist.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's, I can do 5 things at once. You're lying. You're doing 5 things half-assed. You're not doing 5 things right.
Yeah.
You're just not. We meet all sorts of people that'll brag about multitasking. If you're one of those people, hey, congratulations. I don't think you're doing it right. You might have everyone else convinced. It just doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Now, there are times in the day where you got to do multiple things. I could be answering the phone, and then I'm writing an email, and then the phone rings again, and then I'm making a note, but everything that I'm doing takes me longer.
Yeah.
And when I'm on the phone, I can't be taking or typing to someone else. I need to actually lean back and move away and not focus on what's going on my screen. If I'm on the phone and I'm reading a text message that came in, you always get that uncomfortable, yeah. And actually, when we're talking to somebody and we know we don't have their undivided attention, we can tell.
Oh, it's very easy to tell.
We can tell. You
Very
ever
easy.
talk to somebody while they're typing on the screen?
Yeah.
Doesn't that drive you mental?
Yeah.
And no, I can do both. Just talk to me. No, you can't.
Yeah.
You can't. Multitasking doesn't work. Even if it's for 5 minutes, stop typing, give the attention to that person or to that thing. It could be the phone call. It could be writing a text message, whatever. Just give the attention, the focus to what you're doing. And it could be for 5 minutes, I'm going to do this. The next 5 minutes, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
It could be the next hour, I'm doing this. Multitasking doesn't work. Get that out of your head. It's a mistake. Son, do not multitask. It's a myth. You will do a whole bunch of things half-assed.
Yeah, no, I know.
And don't brag about it, because the people that know, multitasking doesn't work.
Yeah, no, I know. I realized that after a while. After a while of having to go back to things that I did and realize I didn't do them properly. So just multitasking does not work. He is right.
It's a distraction.
Yeah.
You can't properly focus. Your level of focus will determine how well you get things done, how efficiently, how productive you're going to be.
Yeah. All right. I think that's a good way to end it off.
We're ending it with that.
Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll be back next week.
We'll be back, and I just want to say these are things that help me. There's so many more things out there that you can do, but don't lie to yourself. Learn what makes sense for you. If any of these things help you, if you have any questions on how I do some of these things, like this note-taking software that I use, or electronic signatures, or how I sync everything, I'm happy to have a conversation. Give me a call.
Yes, and if you like this podcast, please subscribe. Subscribe on our YouTube channel. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe on Google Podcasts, Spotify. You can find this just about everywhere. And yeah, that's it. So thanks for tuning in again, and we'll see you soon.
Have a great day. Be productive.
Ciao.